Okay, so when I was looking for a topic to do on my informative long speech, I ran into a bit of a roadblock. There wasn't a lot of things that I thought I could fill a lot of time with. All I was doing was sitting in the fourth floor of the library listening to music, pretty much just scrolling through Instagram. And that's when it hit me. The one thing that I really love is music, and I listen to that through Spotify. One of the things that I really like about life in general is knowing everything that went behind a product or behind an idea and how certain things came to be. One of the more interesting is how Spotify became the US's largest streaming company. So, the backstory. In the mid-1990s, we were in the middle of a dot-com boom, and basically any company that put .com at the end of their name made money on the stock market. During this time, two major technologies that we use today came out. First off is MP3s, which is the file format that your songs are stored on. And next is P2P, or peer-to-peer software. And what P2P software is basically a software that allows users to share files between one another. And peer-to-peer software allowed for users to share their MP3s between one another. The reason this is important is because of Napster. And what Napster was an online company that during the mid-1990s was founded and became extremely popular. It maxed at 26.4 million users during the beginning of the internet, which is a major feat. And what that company did was hosted servers that allowed users to share files between one another. So it didn't have the files on Napster servers, but it allowed for the sharing between users. This is what coined the term the Heavenly Jukebox. The Heavenly Jukebox refers to the internet in general and how anybody could access the internet and find any song they ever wanted, no matter the commercial success, no matter the taste, the preference. If it was created and someone had put it on an MP3, you could find it online. Napster completely changed up the music industry because what was before a mainly physical commodity sold through CDs and record players and the like became completely digitized, and anybody could get it on the computer without the need for physical copies. What this led to was plenty of copyright suits against Napster, the main one being Napster versus Metallica. With the file sharing capacities that Napster provided, many users would buy a CD and then download those files into an MP3 file, and then upload it to Napster where anybody else could get the files. So one person could essentially give music to the rest of the user base. So this created a rift between Metallica and the fans. Metallica ended up suing Napster for about 300,000 users who were downloading their music just in the month of September alone. When Napster went to when Metallica went to the Napster head site to file the injunction, they were met with hundreds or even thousands of fans who were out there protesting Metallica and smashing CDs. Napster ended up changing the whole culture of the music industry to where the thought process was musicians were no longer separate from other musicians. Everyone was compiled together and everything was free. Music was no longer something that was a privilege, but a right. It should be free for everyone. This era is particularly important for music history and entertainment law in general, as Napster versus Metallica set many of the precedents that would later be followed through by other companies, many of which are still in effect today. In July 2001, less than 2 years after Napster was founded, it was shut down due to injunction from Metallica and many other suits. Napster, I think that the changing attitude that Napster fostered is really reflected through many of the things that we see today. The one that I feel most is Coachella. I live less than 30 minutes from the venue. And Coachella and many other music festivals found in California and across the nation started around the same time that Napster did. And the viewpoint of the individuality of music artists was lost. And people had the viewpoint that if I can get all of my artists on the same piece of hardware and listen to them all whenever I want, I should be able to see them in concert whenever I want. And the first Coachella was definitely not as big as the more recent one. The first one was just a 2-day event, and the newer one is a 3-day event with 3 major headliners and hundreds of other artists. So, what happened after Napster? Around the same time that Napster was founded, Apple bought a software which they later turned into iTunes. And in the early months of 2001, Apple releases iTunes for the Macintosh computer. Then later that year releases the iPod, which also ran iTunes. And iTunes at that stage was pretty much a music library and a software to let you store your MP3s. So if you had the MP3s, you could put them in playlists and you can listen to them on your iPod. Then, in 2003, Apple releases the iTunes Music Store, which is one of the first of its kind where users could actually buy MP3s. Before that, you would be converting your CDs into MP3s. So this is one of the first times that that MP3s have been officially recognized as the next step in music. And during this time period, MP3s were released with something called digital rights management to prevent copywriting. That was later removed because actually those practices violated copyright laws of people who purchased them. So, where does Spotify come in? In 2006, Spotify was founded in Sweden and released in 2008. It offers iTunes-like playlist features, but also came with a full library of its own. The thing about Spotify is that the way they sold their product was different. Spotify allowed for online music streaming. Instead of having to buy the songs, you were able to just stream them, and everything was stored on Spotify's databases. And the way that Spotify paid the artists through the royalties for individual streams has saved the music industry. When copyright and illegal downloading threatened it, the internet also found a solution, which was streaming. And the revenues from that have brought the music industry back. So when I look at my device and I can listen to Lady Gaga, unfortunately I can't listen to Taylor Swift, she doesn't feel that the royalties are high enough to warrant her being on the site. But when I am struggling to find a new topic, I'll be listening to music on Spotify and know where it came from. Thank you.